welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you are new here, I am a part-time reseller that goes around to estate sales, yard sales. Most recently, I've been spending most of my time sourcing at the Goodwill bins to find things to flip for a profit on eBay, hopefully. I'm exclusively an eBay seller. I do not do cross-listing, etc. It's just a little too daunting for me with being part-time. So just if you are curious on that. I am going to go over what sold after I returned from time away. This is only 4 days of sales. So I'm very happy with how my store woke back up after time away. I'll give you a couple of tips to wake your store back up after time away that worked for me. And we'll talk about that as we go. So the first thing that sold, this is for June 4th through June 7th. And this is, I guess technically like Ching number 40. Woohoo, 40. This was a Brighton plaid croc leather purse that I found at the bins. I paid 76 cents for this and accepted an offer for $28. And so I made $22.74 after 50 days. And I just realized I didn't actually talk about any of my numbers because I'm ridiculous. So my gross sales for those 4 days was $530. So an average of about $25 per item. I did sell 21 items in just those 4 days, which is great. Gross profit was $264, and so my average profit per item was right around $12.60. Not terrible, because some of these were really easy items. Obviously I want it to be a little bit higher, but since I've been sourcing at the bins, I've had probably a greater mix of like the bread and butter, lower items, and then like the sales that were really massive, which is fine with me. I had an average time in my store for these of 54 days, which is amazing. And I had something sell the day I listed them, and then I had something that sold that had been listed for 299 days. So pretty wide breadth of items there. So the first thing that sold was the Brighton purse. I also sold a Pottery Barn Kids swaddle crib blanket that I had paid $2 for at a church rummage sale back in March. Got an offer for $7, trying to wake my store up, so I accepted that. And I made $3.62 after 63 days. Next up is a pair of Dansko clogs. This was a smaller size, so I was happy that these sold. I paid $8.28 for these at a regular Goodwill back in February. They sold for $28.95, and so I made $14.41 after just 107 days. If you were on my last video, you heard me talk about Five Nights at Freddy's plush. I have sold a couple of really good ones over the past few weeks. These are just some bread and butter ones that you'll see today. This was a red Foxy plush from 2017. I had $1 cost of goods into it. And so I sold it for $12 and made $8.70, but it sold the same day I listed it. So that was great. Next is a vintage American Greetings die cut. This was two-sided. It was a ghost, a cat. I paid 88 cents for this at the bins back in April. It sold for $9, and so I made $4.84 after 54 days. Next item was another bins find. I guess there's going to be a theme today on where I found things, just because that's where I've been spending most of my time lately for sourcing, because I've needed to really condense my sourcing down to just 2-3 hours a week. And I know I can get a lot of good items at the bins during that time frame. And so that's where I've been spending my time, just based on personal choice. I do love going around to other things, other sourcing opportunities, and I need to get back into that. But over the last few months, it's definitely been more heavily weighted towards the bins. And so this was a Lusso gear hanging garbage can for your car. It was brand new. Paid $1 for it. It sold for $12, and so I made $8.78 after 15 days. Next is that long tail item in the store. This is a pair of Brooks Ghost 13s. I have sold these over and over. I don't know why these sat other than the size. And I did pay up for them at $13.14, which was not a good move. I will not do that again. They sold for $26.10, and I only made $7, but they were gone after 299 days. Next is another bins find. This was a Pet Safe radio fence confinement system. It included the collar. It was new and sealed. Like, the packaging was filthy. So I did wipe that down, but it was still completely sealed. It was one of those plastic clamshell type things, so you could tell that it was sealed. I paid $1 for this, $1.06 at the bins. It sold for $53.10. And so I made $41.20 after just 15 days, and I could not be more happy about that and made my day. The next thing, let me say, on the 6th, which is what I'm about to go into. So I listed things on the 4th, listed things on the 5th. I was accepting offers that maybe would be a little bit lower than what I would have originally wanted. The thing that I did on the 6th, which was a Friday, was I put a 10% off coupon up for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And I think that really made the difference in starting to drive more traffic to the store or drive more sales. So I was listing, accepting offers that were reasonable, and then I put the coupon on. So those are kind of the 3 things I would recommend to wake your store back up from being out of town and time away. And it looks like it's worked for me. The store is still doing okay. I had a lower day of sales yesterday, but I mean, that was happening before I went on time away too. So all good there. So the first thing that sold on the 6th was a pair of Merrell sandals. I had paid $8.43 for these at a regular Goodwill back in January. They sold for $25, and so I made $12.61 after 148 days. Next is a bins find. This was a Wallaroo hat. It was raffia. It paid $1.06 for it. This for 15, and so I made $11.24 after 16 days. Next up is a belt that I picked up at a regular Goodwill back in January. It was leather, and it had these really cute brass animals on it. I paid $3.07 for this. It sold for $16.07, so I made $9.04 after 125 days. Next is it was a hard eyeglasses case. It was a Tiffany case that we had found at the bins. It was a little scuffed up. I did wipe it down. The inside was gorgeous though. Totally clean. So I have $1 cost of goods into this. It sold for $9.50. And so I made $5.35, and it sold the same day I listed it. Next up is another Five Nights at Freddy's plush. This was a blacklight neon Foxy. I actually think the same buyer bought both of the Foxies, but because they were on separate days, I had to ship them separately because I have 1-day shipping as part of being top rated plus on most of my items. So I had $1 into this one as well. It sold for $8.50, and so I made $5.26 after just 2 days. Next is a really funny sale to me. This is a Grimace egg from the Minecraft movie, which is a McDonald's toy. This is a small little plastic thing that I picked up at the bins. I had about 50 cents into it. It sold for $9, and so I made $5.82, and sold the same day that I picked it up. This is one of those things that this plastic thing would have ended up in the landfill had I not picked it up. It was at the bottom of a tote that so many people had gone through at the bins, but I just knew it was going to be worth something, because I know Grimace, I know some of the McDonald's toys, it's more recent, and I picked up 2 of them, and the other one has already sold too, that you'll see, I think, in the next video. So people that say that, I've gotten comments like, this is a despicable profession, horrible job. I'm like, this was a piece of plastic that would have ended up in the landfill that I rescued, and it found a new home. Hang on just a second. Okay. So don't come for me. Just because you're jealous. No, I'm just joking. All right, next up is a set of 4 Tupperware spice shaker containers. I paid $1 for these at the bins. They sold for $17.10, and so I made $12.93 after just 2 days. I sold a Lily Pulitzer skort. This one was super cute. There was just no activity on it. I've had it listed for 2 months. It's the perfect season. I did pay $6.25 for this at a regular Goodwill back in April. I went ahead and accepted an offer for $20 and got it moving, and I made $12.28. Next up is a vintage single stitch Kentucky Wildcats t-shirt. I actually expected this to sell back in March during March Madness, but it didn't. I have nothing into this because a friend of mine gives me some things to sell at times. It sold for $28, and so I made $24.83 after 82 days. Next item is a purse. This is the Relic brand, so it is an offshoot of Fossil. I will say though that the materials are not as good on Relic. They're not like this nice buttery leather that you'll see on a Fossil bag. But when you find it for $1 at the bins, you pick her up and you sell her for $13.60 and make $9.26 after 16 days. Everything else has bins picks up, so I will not repeat myself. This is a box of Titleist golf balls. It was not complete. It was missing one. They were brand new, so I sold those beauties for $10.20 and made $6.26 after 57 days. This is a Polo Ralph Lauren hat. It was orange. It had a little green pony. It was in really nice condition. No dirt, no muss, no fuss. Had $1 into it. It sold for $14.40, and so I made $11.58 in just 17 days. And then last but not least is this a gorgeous Coach clutch. It was leather, it was buttery. She was a little dirty and worn, and so I cleaned her up a little bit, had $1 into her, and she sold for $35, and so I made $26.22 after 18 days. If you have not seen my haul from that particular bins trip, I would say over half of what I had sold of these 21 items came from that one trip at the bin. So you should go check out those hauls from part 1 and part 2. It was mega epic. I don't think I'll ever recreate that haul. We had 2 full carts. It was bananas, but super happy with that. Let's see. Store allocations, because most of it did come from that particular bins trip. The store allocation was 90% Goodwill this week, and about 10% from other things. The genres, the home items sold at about 55% of my profit. Clothing was 27 and toys at 19. Usually most, you know what? I don't think I updated this. Well, that would explain why that looks that way. All right, well, that's more like it. So I'm back. It's 63% clothing, which is definitely more in range of what I normally sell. I'm usually at least at 50% clothing, shoes, and accessories, with about 25% coming from household type things, including kitchen stuff and decor, and about 25% coming from toys and collectibles. So back into my normal ranges of what was selling and where those profits were coming from. So like I said, I had those 3 things to wake your store up after time away that have worked for me the last 2 times I've used that method. If you like this kind of content, I would genuinely appreciate if you would give me a like and leave me a comment. I love talking to you guys and hearing what your questions are, if you're just starting to get into reselling, or just about how we roll over here in the Blues City. We will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye.